That's it. We're finally here. It's been a long road. Getting from there to here? No, we're not going to sing the Star Trek song. We're here to talk about the Nintendo Switch reveal, which happened last night at 11 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and they did not waste any time. Immediately after their weird laser show, Tatsumi Kimishima came out. He started right in with the meat of the project here, and that was the price. $299.99 in the U.S., 29,000 yen in Japan, and Europe, because they've accused Nintendo of price fixing in the past, has to set their own prices. Or the retailers have to set their own prices. Let's analyze this for a little bit. A lot of people are going to be disappointed with this price, and I think that they're wrong. I think it's fair. And the reason that people are disappointed is because of the rumors. There were rumors that the price was going to be $250. Now, while I certainly would be happier to pay less money for this system, realistically, Tatsumi Kimishima had told us months ago, late 2016, that Nintendo was not going to be selling the Switch at a loss. So I expected when rumors came out that it was going to be $250. I was like, oh my God, that made me actually worried for the power of the console. The idea that it could be sold not at a loss for $250 was really telling me that it had really cheap parts in it. Bringing it up to $300, I think, is definitely a very fair price for a brand new console. It's a portable. It hooks up to your TV. It comes with 2 controllers, ostensibly, and by the way, we'll talk about the controllers, and it has a screen in it, so there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I think that $299 is a very good price for the Nintendo Switch. Let's talk about the next thing that he said, and that was the release date. This actually really surprised me. Nintendo had projected that they were going to be selling, I think they said 2 million in March. So a lot of people were looking at previous launches and saying, okay, when do they have to launch in order to get 2 million in the month of March? And so a lot of people were saying maybe March 17th or March 24th. That would give them enough time to get 2 million while not being too slow of a pace. And actually, I kind of was thinking it was going to be the 17th. That's where I was kind of hedging my bets. But they surprised us and said it's March 3rd. So they have the whole month to make their projections. Now, Nintendo is a very conservative company, and I guess in hindsight, we should have seen this coming. We should have seen them using the whole month to hit that 2 million mark, because they don't want to make a projection and then miss it, because that's very embarrassing to them, especially as a conservative company. Oof, stumbling over my words. So giving themselves the full month to sell that 2 million, I think, is a really good idea. And it also means that we get the console sooner. So that's awesome. Now, the last thing that they talked about, and I'm skipping over a whole bunch of stuff in the middle because I don't want to make you guys wait like we had to wait. They really dragged it out and told us at the very end that Breath of the Wild, which is the new Zelda game for the Switch, comes out on March 3rd. Now, they did not say if the Wii U version is going to be released the same day. I think that they might delay the Wii U version. I believe that they did that with Skyward Sword, or not Skyward Sword, with Twilight Princess when it made the transition from the GameCube to the Wii. I think the Wii version came out like 2 weeks earlier, and that was because they didn't want to cannibalize sales of the software on the new system. They wanted to help. They wanted to use that as a push to get the new system, and I think that's probably a good idea on their part. So, day and date, you're getting a new Zelda game with the Switch every single time that that a Nintendo system, has launched with a Zelda game, that system has done well. And that's because it's a system seller. People want to buy a Zelda game. They want to play that Zelda game. And having it out there as a, hey, this is the only way you can play it today, got to get a Switch. That's going to put a lot of Switches in households, which means that this is really setting up the Switch for success. And I think that Nintendo, while 2016 was a year where we had so few games to play from Nintendo, delaying as much as they did to push these games to the Switch, I think it was, in the long run, a really good idea. The next thing that they talked about was the Nintendo Switch Online service, which is going to be a paid service which launches in fall 2017, and you get a free trial period that starts in March. So basically, when the console comes out, everybody gets to use the online service for free, but you will eventually have to pay. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be angry about this. I'm not. Microsoft and Sony both have you pay for access to their server. This means that we're more likely to have more reliable servers. I tried to play Smash Online, and every time that I tried to play Smash Online, I got some horrible lag, which caused my characters to lock up, the game would freeze, and I'd have to wait. And that just wasn't fun. So hopefully, by paying for the service, we can expect a higher tier of service. They didn't say anything on the price, only that they would announce that later. They did say what it involves, though. Now, when Kimishima actually talked about it on stage, I was a little confused, because he said something along the lines of, if you have your smart device and you download the Nintendo Switch apps, you can then communicate with people while you're playing. So I was very confused by that. But it says online play. If you go to their website, which is nintendo.com/switch/online-service, it says online play on Nintendo Switch. You'll be able to play compatible co-op and competitive games online by signing in with your Nintendo account. Online play will be free for Nintendo account holders until our paid online service launches in fall 2017. After the free trial period, most gamers will require a paid online service subscription from Nintendo in order to play online. The service is only for Nintendo Switch. It does not affect the Wii U or Nintendo 3DS systems for online play. What do you get for this? Well, that says that you get online lobby and voice chat. So this is one of my biggest sticking points for a very long time, is not being able to voice chat with people while you're playing. Splatoon, which, by the way, has really good servers, they did a good job with that. But they also didn't have voice. So you're playing an online competitive co-op team game against another team, and you just couldn't communicate with anybody on your team. That was a huge issue for me, and I think that was a huge issue for a lot of people. And I think, barring the fact that Nintendo Wii U didn't sell very well, so the pool of people who are playing Splatoon is even a smaller pool of people in that very small subset of people who owned a Wii U. I think other than that, had the Wii U been successful, not having voice chat in a game like Splatoon really hamstrung that game. It made it so that you couldn't really play it competitively without having a second device in order to communicate with your team. And that's just not the way that you want to do it. Now, there's also the issue of friends on the system. And Nintendo did sort of address this as well. On the bottom of that page, it says, make the most of your Nintendo Switch. And it tells you how you can create a Nintendo account. And then it says, service subscribers. Just a second, my cat's trying to get my daughter's those sneaky little rascals. It says that service subscribers will get online gameplay, online lobby and voice chat app, which is awesome, monthly game download, So we'll talk about that in a second. Exclusive deals. We'll also talk about that in a second. Access to the Nintendo. That's the subscriber exclusive stuff. And then the non-subscribers will get access to the Nintendo eShop. You can register and manage friends. So hopefully, and they haven't really addressed it, but hopefully they've got a better friend system in line. They didn't mention anything about friend codes. Hopefully the Treehouse event will talk about that today. Share screenshots to social media. I could not care less about this. It doesn't have built-in Twitch streaming, which was a big deal to me. But I bought a capture card so I can get around it. So forget it, Nintendo. I've given up on you joining the party, so to speak. And then access to the Nintendo Switch Parental Controls app, which we will talk about in the future or later on in the video as well, or podcast if you're just listening to that. All right. So, online lobby and voice chat. So, this is the very confusing part. This says planned for fall 2017. It says our new dedicated smart device app will connect to Nintendo Switch and let you invite friends to play online, set play appointments, and chat with friends during online matches in compatible games, all from your smart device. So, yeah, see, now that I'm reading that again, it does seem like I have to have my phone or my iPad in order to talk to people online. So I can't do it through the game, which is just kind of bonkers to me. I don't understand why I wouldn't be able to do it directly through the Switch. Maybe the controllers don't have a port for it? I'm really not sure. Hopefully they explain this, but I doubt that they will. Then there's the monthly game download. It says subscribers will get to download and play a Nintendo Entertainment System NES or Super Nintendo Entertainment System game with newly added online play for free for a month. Okay, so this is a disappointment. So I was hoping that the subscription service would give you access to their back catalog as long as you were subscribing. What they've decided to do instead is they've got their eShop, and you get to play a game for free for a month, but it seems like after that month's over, you no longer get to play that game. So if it happens to be a busy month, like I'm a teacher in September, I don't have time to play a whole lot of games because I'm working all the time and I'm getting stuff set up. Does that mean that I'm just not, I miss out on the September thing? In December, we've got family over all the time. I don't have as much time to sit down and play games as I'd like. So does that mean if I'm busy, I just miss out on whatever free game it is? It doesn't just add it to my library. If you look at the Xbox 360, they give out free games every month. If you are part of their program, I forget what it's called. Same with the PlayStation Plus. They give you free games every month. I say free games, but they're not free. You're paying for them, but you're getting them as part of your subscription. And I think once you get them, you get to keep them. And I think that's a really cool way to do it, and it's a good incentive to get people to subscribe to that platform. Nintendo seems to be bucking the trend, as they often do, and it seems like we're not going to be getting that. It looks like we'll get a game, we'll be able to play it that month, and then at the end of the month, we'll either have to buy that game in order to keep it, or we won't have access to it anymore. The last thing that you get with the paid service is exclusive deals, and that just says special offers for subscribers may include discounts on select digital games and content. So, whatever. That doesn't really add anything to it. But that is what we've got for online play. No mention of friend codes, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to see friend codes. I really hope that we don't see friend codes. I do like that it says register and manage friends. Hopefully that means we've got one unified friends system so that we don't have to add friends in all the different games, because that is really tedious, and most of the time I just don't even bother because it's not worth my time to go through and add everybody that I'm friends with on every different Nintendo game that I have. So anyway, that's it for the online features. Let's talk about something else. All right, this next one is short and sweet, and that's region locking. People have been clamoring for a really long time. Nintendo, please stop region locking your games. If I want to import my game from, I don't know, Zimbabwe, I should be able to play it on any system that I have. And this makes the most sense for a system that you can take with you. Maybe I win the lottery and get to fly all over the planet. And I get on my little private jet. I bring my Nintendo Switch with me. And we go to Japan, and I see a cool game there that I've never seen before because I live in the U.S., and maybe they didn't bring it over to the U.S., Dragon Quest, I'm looking at you. And maybe I speak Japanese, so I buy it. Awesome. That sounds great. Except that's really only great if they also are translating the games. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who really care about region locking. I don't think that region locking is something that Nintendo should do, but the fact that they have announced that it's region free, while I think is good, I probably won't be able to take advantage of because I only speak English. There's nothing else to really say about that. Region free, if that's something that you're excited about, Nintendo finally listened. They seem to be the last ones to this party. After Kimishima said that the Switch was region free, he gave up the stage, and Yoshiaki Koizuma, who I guess is the guy in charge of the Nintendo Switch, he came out and gave us a little presentation on what the Joy-Cons are like. So he said that they have their front-facing buttons. They have the two sticks. Each one of those sticks can be clicked in. There's the home button. On the very bottom, there's the infrared sensor, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then on the inside of the two Joy-Cons, there's two more shoulder buttons, which you can access when you're playing the game sideways. In the right Joy-Con, there is NFC, so you can use your amiibo with it. And on the left Joy-Con, they have a weird square button with no marking on it, which is the previously rumored share button. So you can take screenshots, and they said in the future you'll be able to take like videos and upload them to various social media, hopefully not Miiverse. He said that you can hold both of the Joy-Cons have motion control, so you can hold them in your hand and move them around, and they'll respond to that. And then he again pointed out the buttons that they basically slide in the rail. It looks like they're called SL and SR, which I don't know what S stands for. That's kind of weird. But anyway, so on these controllers, we've got the trigger, the bumper, the two shoulder buttons that you can access inside, clicking in on the Joy-Con, the four face buttons, and then on the other side, you've got four face buttons, which also doubles as the D-pad when you're playing with two of them at the same time. I gotta say, when you're using this thing in your hands, one of the Joy-Cons, I mean, it's very small and it looks cramped, and I don't think that it's something that I would like to do. However, they did say that you could also get little wrist straps for them, and the wrist straps have a thing that slides over it to make it just a little bit thicker and easier to use. Now we're going to get to the surprise that we did not expect. Well, actually, no, we're not. I'm going to hold on to that surprise for just a second I almost forgot. They do come in different colors as well. You can get them in gray, or you can get these in like neon red and neon blue, which those are the ones that I pre-ordered. I think that they looked really, really good like that. They're very, very bright colors. And then, I'm sorry, pardon me. I think the gray ones are also good, but I like the bright colors. I also think it'll be easier to be like, okay, well, my son loves blue, so he'll always be the blue guy, and I'll always be the red guy. And, that'll work. Then he talked about the infrared, and it was really weird. Apparently, the infrared thing maybe it's not even infrared. It can tell how far away you are from the object, and you can also it can tell shapes. So you could play rock, paper, scissors with this thing, and it can tell what you're holding up in your hands, which I found to be that was very surprising. The next thing that they showed us, this was the big surprise, was that both of the Joy-Cons had rumble, which is fine. But they called it HD rumble, which they explained that if you shake the controller, you can feel like there's an ice cube in a glass, and they're like, well, actually, if we add multiple ice cubes, you can feel how that would feel different. And then they said if we had poured water into the glass, you would feel that it felt like water was filling up the controller, which is a ridiculous, crazy idea. I'm like, how are they going to use this feature in a game? But for the longest time, I didn't really care about I don't know. HD Rumble is this odd duck that I'm really not sure if it's something I care about. But I imagine the first time that a game uses it in just the right way, it's going to blow my mind. So anyway, that is the Joy-Cons. The next thing that they talked about was a game which seemed like it was going to be the pack-in game. Although, honestly, I think for $300 with the stuff that we're getting, I think expecting a pack-in game is a little much. But at the time when I was watching it, I was like, maybe this is the pack-in. It's not. It's $50. But 1-2 Switch is this really weird game where you don't face the TV. Each person holds one of the Joy-Cons, and Kaouchi Kawamoto came out to talk about. He's the Nintendo Switch general designer for 1-2 Switch, and basically you have the two Joy-Cons, and each person is holding one of them, and you can do different things. Maybe it felt. I mean, the things that they showed was like a quick draw game where two cowboys are facing each other, and they got to pull their gun out and shoot before the other one. I also saw one where there was it looked like sword fighting or something. It was very weird. But this game feels to me like a fun family game that you're going to want to play, and this is going to sell a lot of systems. And I bet you if they do a pack-in, this would be very smart of them to do a pack-in at $329. People would buy this, and people would really enjoy it. But it felt to me like it was the WarioWare of the Switch. Hopefully we'll get a real WarioWare game, because the WarioWare games are awesome. But there's really not much else to say about 1-2 Switch. The next game that they talked about is a fighting game called ARMS. Basically, you hold the Joy-Cons in your hands, and the left one is for your left hand, right one's for your right hand, and they control these boxing gloves that are on springs. And then you face the TV, and you and your opponent are battling to hit each other. It's got a really interesting look to it. It looks like the people in the game are actually made out of springs, and they say that you fight via simple motion and button controls. It says grab onto your Joy-Con with unique thumbs up grip. and use the simple motions and button presses to outthink your opponent, toss a curve punch when you find an opening, and dodge a flurry of incoming attacks. It's a fast-paced fun for everyone. They have a variety of fighters, and it says that you can customize them based on what arms that you're going to use in the game. Now, the thing is you can block by tilting the controllers towards each other. You can steer your punch. So let's say you throw a punch and then your opponent dodges it. If you tilt your hands, it's going to move the boxing gloves in mid-flight to try and hit them a little bit more. And I can't remember. I think the name of the game is Virtual On, which is a game that I dumped a lot of quarters into when I was a kid, and it had these 2 joysticks. And this game reminds me of Virtual On, and if it plays like Virtual On, like it looks like it does, I think it looks to be a whole lot of fun. Now, this one, it doesn't have a release date. It just says spring 2017, and I'm looking around. And it has a price tag of $60. So they did say that it has online. It has local competitive play, and I think that they said you can fight against bots as well. But this seems like a cool fighting game. It's very different from any other fighting game out there. It just all depends on how precise are the motion controls. If the motion controls are anything like they were on the Wii, then it's going to be a bomb. It's going to be terrible. But if they're precise and you're not just simply flailing your arms around, then I think Nintendo might be onto something here, and only time will tell. The next game that they talked about was Splatoon 2. We weren't sure if it was going to be a sequel or just a remake. I'm very happy that it's a sequel. I hope that it lives up to the idea of being a sequel. They showed some gameplay. They said, get hyped for the sequel to hit the game. Sequel to the hit game about splatting ink and claiming turf. If you have not played Splatoon, it is a game. It's a third-person shooter, which when Nintendo said that they were making a shooter, people were like, whoa, really? That's kind of weird. And it's 4v4. You've got this big arena, and in the arena, your job is to spray paint or ink all over the floor. And so there's 2 colors, and the 2 colors are random every time, but your job is to make sure that the floor is covered with more of your color than with theirs, or the enemies, and it's 4v4. Very, very fun game. You play as these squids who pretend to be human. It's a very strange lore to the game, but you're these squids that pretend to be humans, but then you can turn back into a squid, and you are basically invisible at that point because you are then swimming through the ink, and the human's form moves very slowly, and the squid forms move very quickly. The human form can shoot, the squid form can't. So you can sit there and hide in the ink, and hopefully nobody finds you, and then when somebody comes by, you can pop up and blast them. They've got a whole bunch of weapons in the game. They do say that in the new one, that there are new weapons. They said that there's new dual-wielding splat dualies. They have a dodge roll move, which sounds really awesome. I think Guild Wars 2, you can hit those and you can dodge out of the way. That sounds really fun. And a splat charger, which is probably a sniper rifle. The splat roller and splat charger have also been remixed to include new gameplay mechanics and brand new special weapons. It has local and online multiplayer. Before, you could only play this game online and single player. And the single player campaign was really, really fun and rewarding to finish. I had a blast playing Splatoon. The local multiplayer for Splatoon was terrible. It was basically like Race to Burst Balloons. But it says in a first for the series, compete in local multiplayer turf war battles, whether in TV mode or on-the-go handheld tabletop mode. So it seems like you can have up to 4 people all playing on the same screen, that sounds awesome. My son and I are definitely going to be playing Splatoon together. I'm looking forward to this. They say that you can play using the Joy-Con controllers or the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, both which allow for gyro controls for better aiming and control. Now, if you've never played Splatoon, then you are not aware at how awesome the controls are for this game. It is one of the best shooting games that I've ever played on a controller. You control the movement with the left stick. You control left and right camera with the right stick, and up and down a little bit, but the real camera control is with moving the controller around to help you aim. Steam controller has this built in as well. I think the DualShock has it built in, though very, very few games actually take advantage of it. Splatoon did a great job with the controls, and so I'm very happy that they are bringing that back. One of the things about Splatoon that was fantastic was that you could easily jump to any place in the battle. So if you're in the middle of a fight and you're starting to feel like, oh man, my buddy over there needs help, you could just look down at your controller and tap where your friend was, and your squid would launch and it was really cool looking. You would launch and fly over top and then land right on your buddy and then be able to help him out, which made for some really cool gameplay moments. Would have been even cooler had the game included voice chat, like we all wanted, because then your buddy could say, I need help over here, and you could just get there. Now, this is a reason why a lot of people said that Splatoon can't be played with the Pro controller, but the reason that the way that they're getting around this is the simplest thing of all. Remember, it's a 4-player game, or it's a co-op 4 players, so you only ever have 3 other people that you have to get to. So all you have to do is press X, it brings up the map, and then you can press A, B, or Y, and it will do that thing, and each A, B, or Y is connected to a person. So maybe you're playing online and your friend who you know is A, maybe when they're talking, A comes up on the screen. I'm not sure how that's going to work if you have to have your phone. It's so confusing, that the voice thing. But maybe A says on screen, hey, I need help over here. All you got to do is press X, A, and then you launch towards them. I think that's fantastic and a really good way to play, especially if voice controls are included. So everybody was expecting it to be called Splatoon, SPLA2N, but they actually decided to call it Splatoon 2, which I think is fine. And hopefully it works just as well. Now, I'm just looking at the website now. It says, an upcoming smartphone application for Nintendo Switch system will enhance matchmaking and allow for voice chat options. So again, you gotta have a smart device like your phone or your tablet in order to use voice chat. I think that this is the one thing that Nintendo does. Every time, what Nintendo does is they give us a whole bunch of stuff that we want, and then they screw something up. They always screw something up. And for me, it's this smart device support, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't have a smart device. Luckily, we had bought a computer for my wife from Apple, and Apple charged us twice for the computer by accident. And in return, they said, hey, if you want to get an iPad mini, then we'll sell you one for $50. And we're like, sure. So we ended up getting an iPad mini for $50 for my son. And he loves the thing. But I know that there's a lot of kids out there who want to play Splatoon, and they don't have access to their smart devices. Maybe they don't own a smart device. And that means that they can't enhance matchmaking. So maybe they can't just group up with their friends automatically. I mean, I can understand why you might not want them to have voice chat options, but having voice chat options with friends, I think that's okay. as long as you're not allowing them to have voice chat options with everybody. So I really do hope, and I know I've gone off on a tangent. I'm supposed to be talking about Splatoon right now, and I've gone off on a tangent. But I really hope Nintendo explains their reasoning for not having voice chat built in to the software. Why do I have to be running it on my phone? What if my phone is dead? What if I've used up all my battery for today? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great idea to do it that way. Stay fresh. The next game they showed was the new Mario game. It started in a very unsettling view. Mario hanging out in the real world, which was really strange to see. So Mario, it looked like he was running down the streets of a city on Earth, and you could see humans walking around. And I never thought of Mario as not a human, but when you see him and then you see the humans in the world, it was very unsettling. It then shows Mario in a variety of different environments. The one thing that really got my attention was that he was running around carrying a turnip on his head, like in Super Mario Brothers 2, which was actually it wasn't actually Super Mario Brothers 2. It was a game called Doki Doki Panic, and they said that the actual Super Mario Brothers 2 was too difficult for Americans or for a Western audience, so they decided to adapt Doki Doki Panic to be a Mario game. And it's one of my favorites. I loved Super Mario Brothers 2. Now, it showed some really cool things. Mario riding on a lion. He can also throw his hat and then jump on it. They said that his hat has some kind of sentience or something, and there's even a scene in there where Bowser stomps on it. But the graphics looked really good. The environments looked fantastic. My only problem was with Mario in the real world. It looked very odd and unsettling, and I didn't like that. The game is called Super Mario Odyssey, and it looks cool. I'm looking forward to it. It does not come out right away, though. It's holiday 2017. And I'm fine with that. That gives us something to look forward to. Hopefully there's no delays. Nintendo really has got to have a good first year with the Switch. So, knock on wood that's going to happen. Then at the end, Yoshiaki Koizumi came out and he was wearing, a red blazer and a red Mario hat with the weird eyes. And he said that it's going to play the idea that the hat is sentient is going to play a big role in the game. He said that it's not playable now, so the people who are at the press conference were not going to be able to play the new Mario game. Just they wanted to show off some gameplay from it, and I think that it looks good, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, if you are a fan of JRPGs, the next game is going to definitely get you excited, and that is Xenoblade 2. So far, we've had quite a few games in the Xeno saga, or in the Xeno series. There was Xeno Saga, Xeno something, I forget what the second one was. Then there was Xenoblade, and then there was Xenoblade Chronicles, and then Xenoblade Chronicles X, and now we have Xenoblade 2. It has a less realistic look and more of a cartoony look, and I like that. I think that cartoony look games with a cartoony looking style, they tend to stand up to the test of time more. They don't date themselves. When you look at a game that's ultra realistic, they just don't hold up when time goes by. So as far as graphics go. So I find it exciting to have a new Xenoblade game coming out. I've played Xenoblade Chronicles on my 3DS. A very good game. I never finished it, though. Big surprise. You guys know me. And then I played Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. Did not like that one, mostly because of the horrible audio problems with that game. I don't know if they ever patched those out, but I was not interested in that. But then now we've got Xenoblade 2. I don't know where this is going to fit into the chronicle of the Xeno series, but, we'll find out. The next game that they showed and was a Fire Emblem game. I believe it was called Fire Emblem Heroes, and we didn't really see anything from the game. They just showed these globes with the different weapon symbols in them, and then they kind of all came together and formed into a shield. Not much else to say about Fire Emblem Heroes. We don't know. Is it a traditional Fire Emblem game? Is it a... Or no, it wasn't Fire Emblem Heroes. Fire Emblem Warriors. Is it a game like Hyrule Warriors? I'm not sure. Both would be interesting. I think that I would probably like... I personally think that I would prefer to have a traditional Fire Emblem game, but they just had Fire Emblem Fates. So my guess is that this is going to be Fire Emblem like Hyrule Warriors. They didn't say anything else about it. They just showed that it was coming out. They then announced that Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 will be joining Dragon Quest 11 and 10 on the Switch, but they didn't mention the US. They said that it was coming to Japan. They didn't specifically say that it wasn't coming to the US, but I'm pretty sure that means that the US is not going to get it. Now, if you are a big fan of the series, and because the system is no longer region dependent, it's region free, you can import these games if you want. So you can get Dragon Quest X, Dragon Quest XI, as well as Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2. That's where I got Heroes from, not Warriors. And you can import them. Will they have English in them? I highly doubt it. And if that's the case, I think very few people will be importing them. I don't know how easy it is to play games like that. It's not like it's just an action game. It's an RPG. And RPGs are going to be very difficult to play without being able to speak the language. The next game they showed was the new Atlas game. And it was very weird. It showed a bunch of monsters or odd-looking things and like this weird gold dude. And I guess it's the sequel to Shin Megami Tensei, which I've never played, but I heard is a fantastic JRPG. And then they showed another game from Square Enix, which had a fantastic art style. This really got my attention. It looks like paper cutouts in like a 3D environment with real lighting and stuff, and it looks beautiful. They called it Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler, which is a strange name, but I'll definitely be checking that out. It's good to see Square and Nintendo holding hands again, because they used to be best of friends, and then they weren't. After that, they brought out some third-party developers from Sega. They brought out Todd Howard from Bethesda to formally announce that Skyrim will be coming to the Switch. Huge surprise, everyone. They also brought out a guy from... I don't know what company this guy was from, because the translator probably couldn't hear him or didn't understand what he was saying. And so everything that the translator was saying was really confusing, and I didn't understand what the guy was talking about at all. Then they marched out a guy from EA, Patrick Soderlund. He's the EVP from EA Worldwide Studios, and he was talking about the fact that they're bringing FIFA to the Switch. If you go to Nintendo's website, they also have listed there NBA 2K18, so that means we're not going to get a basketball game this year, but next year it seems like. And that's the third-party stuff that they really talked about last night. Like I said before, they waited until the very end to show us what we really wanted to know. I mean, they front-loaded it with price and availability. That was awesome, but they did not mention Zelda once through the whole thing until the very end. And that's when they showed this brand new trailer from Breath of the Wild. And my God, I did not think I could be more hyped for this game, but I was completely wrong. This game is going to be my entire 2017. I cannot imagine a game that I'm more excited about in the history of games than this. Breath of the Wild looks fantastic, and if you have not watched the new trailer, you absolutely should stop listening to me right now. Why are you listening to me? Go watch the trailer. It is friggin' awesome. So the Breath of the Wild trailer had total hype, and then after the trailer, man, they really dragged it out. So they went to New York, and or no, just before the trailer, they were dragging it out. So they went to New York, and Reggie Fils-Aimé was talking about he talked to Miyamoto-san, and he goes, so when can we expect Breath of the Wild to come out? And Miyamoto looked at Reggie and he was like, I don't know, maybe you should ask this guy. And Anuma, who's the guy in charge of the game, he jumps out from behind the console, which is it was really weird and funny, very awkward and corny, very Nintendo-like. Anuma-san jumps out from behind the TV, basically, that they're playing at, and he goes, hey, Reggie, how's it going? And Reggie's like, Anuma-san, when can we expect to see the Zelda game? And he goes, gosh, I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask Kimishima. So Reggie looks at the camera and he's like, Kimishima, when can we expect to see Zelda? And then Kimishima is like, I'm not going to tell you right now. Here, watch a trailer for the game. And everybody's just like, I was live streaming this, and I said, if they do not say that it is, after all that buildup, if they don't say March 3rd, people are going to riot in the streets and somebody's going to burn Nintendo down. So they better say March 3rd at the end. And finally, at the very end of this fantastically beautiful trailer, they said March 3rd is the actual day. You're going to be able to get it day one. Actually, if you look online, they have they have two different collector's edition things. One of them comes with like a pouch to carry your Switch. I couldn't think of it. I kept wanting to say 3DS. To carry your Switch in, and it looks like the tablet that Link carries on him in the game, which is cool. I think that was $89. Let me check real quick. Okay, so there's the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Masters Edition. This comes with a Master Sword that's all got, it's a statue and it's got vines all around it, which is really cool. I'm not going to buy that because I don't need more plastic crap in my house. I say that even though I've got Amiibo all over my desk. Then there's the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Special Edition. This one comes with a carrying case. It's got a map. It comes with a CD that has music on it as well as the game, and that's $99.99. And then just the regular game is $60, which is fine with me. So Breath of the Wild, definitely going to be the game that I'm going to be getting at launch. I don't know that I'll get anything else right away. Maybe Bomberman. But that Zelda game looks so good. And I know a lot of people are might be disappointed that there's not a huge ton of games available at launch. That may change today. We've got the Treehouse thing that starts in like 3 minutes. I'm recording this at 9:27 a.m. So we've got the Nintendo Treehouse. Treehorse? A Treehorse. What does a Treehorse look like? We've got the Nintendo Treehouse live with Nintendo Switch coming up in just a couple minutes. You will have already found out stuff by the time you see this because I still have to render this. But my one hope before we move on from here with the Nintendo Switch is that the Treehouse Live today does not play any Zelda. I don't want to see any more Zelda. I want to see the other stuff. I want to see the other stuff that we haven't seen already. I don't care too much about 1-2 Switch. That's not interesting to me. What I do care about is not the Mario game. Well, I mean, I care about the Mario game, but they're not going to show it to us. But show us some third-party stuff that's coming. Other games that I haven't even mentioned yet. There's Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers. That's another game that's coming out. Oh, gosh, where'd my folder go that had these? We've got Bomberman, which looks great. That's up to 8 players, I think. And I don't know. I don't know what I talked about. I talked about a lot. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch the presentation, or you can tune in at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, and you can find the video of, I'll highlight the one, as well as like the after talk, and you guys can watch that over there as well. Thanks so much for listening and watching. I will, if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.